Or we can do that after. Never mind.
Oh, should I go now? I'm sorry. Did I
No,
screw
no,
up?
no, no, no,
Oh.
no, no,
No. Just having a minor issue with Facebook.
Of course you are.
Yeah, well, it happened.
They don't let the
It happened
comments
last
through.
week too.
Don't let them hear you vent, man. Let them eat cake, not memes. God.
Very professional.
Almost there.
Any minute now.
Yeah, I don't know why Facebook doesn't like it. Okay.
New Muppet show's coming out.
Oh.
Okay. Well, that's exciting.
Oh, Chris.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Christopher Priest. Oh, see, somebody's laughing now. All right, you have to edit this. Hi, I'm Christopher Priest, writer of Black Panther, The World to Come, Vampirella, and many other things. And you are watching Splash Pages.
Is the one obvious thing.
What's wrong with him?
His girl just broke it off.
It's her father. He doesn't want her dating a zombie.
Why? What are they, demons?
She is predeceased.
An outsider?
Mm-hmm. Man, you're asking for trouble.
She broke my heart.
You're a zombie. Technically, you don't even have a heart.
After all of the great cinema that we brought to the world, and we still get no respect.
I don't know why he doesn't like me. I'm responsible. A full-time job.
You work at a haunted house in October.
I'm trying to be healthy. She's a vegan, so...
Wait, you're giving up meat?
Oh, come on.
What are you gonna do? Attack a farmer's market to try to impress her?
Now, if he was a vampire, he'd have a much better chance with her dad.
Yeah, those pretty bastards.
I didn't think this would be that hard.
Hard? Man, I'm a zombie and I'm black.
Oh, here we go.
I blame the educational system.
I blame the media.
I blame George Romero.
Oh. How could you be so disrespectful?
Coffee?
Zombies don't know much, but they do know good coffee. Deadly Grounds. It's coffee to die for, and zombie approved.
Who's George Romero?
Just have some coffee.
Hey, happy Saturday, everybody. You are watching Splash Pages. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have an amazing show scheduled for you today. An incredible guest. You'll hear more about that shortly. Speaking of that, Carrie, how's it going?
It is going great, Leo. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hello, Dylan. Wonderful to see you here again, joining us. Oh my God. So the reading that we did this week, I got like all teary-eyed. I laughed until I almost peed myself. I had so much fun reading everything, and There's some really there was the laugh, there was the cries, there was some like, ooh, that's kind of sexy too. So we were everywhere on the spectrum with this one. I am excited to talk to our guest. Let's see what Jar thought.
Hey, everybody, it's Saturday, and we're here with as everybody's saying, an amazing guest. I can't wait to get into it. We read a lot of good stuff, and I mean a lot. Well, I'll let Drew tell everybody what we read. Go on, Drew.
Thank you, Jar. Much appreciated. You're just looking nice and gingery today. And Carrie, love the new glasses. And Leo, good to see you, man. Good to see you there. Thank you. Yeah, keep pushing those buttons. Yes, everybody, it is Saturday. So you did not sleep through the week, and suddenly it's somehow Tuesday again. On this snowy Saturday, we at Splash Pages have an absolutely fantastic guest. I've had the pleasure of meeting him beforehand. We had a great interview that just could have gone on forever, but Terrificon only has so many hours during the day. If you've read Marvel, DC, probably some of the independent stuff in the past, you've probably come across something that he's done. Spider-Man, the Falcon, Iron Fist, Green Lantern, Conan the Barbarian, the Ray, Steel, Deadpool, Black Panther especially, even Deathstroke, Justice League, Vampirella, Quantum and Woody. I mean, he's done so much, and yet he's so humble. And from what I understand, he can either sing or play us a tune as well. So everybody, please put your Saturday morning hands together, clink your coffee mugs, whatever you got to do. Please give it up for the one, the only, the most hilarious, and yet very humble Christopher Priest.
Well, hello, everybody.
Hey, man.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have no idea what to say to something like that. That's way too much, but
yeah,
nice to meet all of you.
Yes. Drew loves to give the accolades.
I like to cover all of the bases, Priest, just because I was like, because again, I didn't want somebody to click in this and be like, oh, I thought this was the British science fiction novelist, Christopher Priest. Yeah. And I was like, oh, no, we don't talk about this.
Well, I actually know him. I don't know if I mentioned that to you, Drew.
Really?
But yeah. Well, I knew him. I'm sorry. Sadly he passed away.
Okay.
He disliked me intensely, and would remind me of it by email frequently. You ever meet somebody or have someone in your family or in your social circle who is so acerbic in their how they comport themselves that you can't quite tell if they're joking or not, where you go, he's joking, right? So you can't really get too mad at him, but you're going, it's kind of that whole Howard Chaykin thing, like,
right.
Except Howard's not joking,
Oh no.
That was the first person that came to mind when you said that.
Howard, yeah.
But I love Howard.
So Mr. Priest was just very annoyed because people kept coming up to him asking him about Black Panther. So if you go to ChristopherPriest.com, I installed a Which Priest switch. So the first thing that you see is a splash page where you have to select your priest, the British priest or the American priest, to help solve some of that confusion. And then the reason why I sign most of my work as simply Priest and not Christopher Priest is to distinguish myself from the British author.
That's
now,
amazing.
Of course, the publishers, when they solicit the work, they will use both names. So I'm not Cher. I'm not pretentious about it, but it's one of those things. But yeah, we had this really kind of like frenemies, adversarial relationship where I really couldn't get but so mad at him. But I was like, I hate to break it to you, buddy, but when I decided on to change my last name in 1993,
right,
I had never heard of him. And initially, DC marketing was refusing to use Priest in this solicitation because they thought I was trying to market off of this guy that I never heard of. And so I had to come in and said, no, this is not a pseudonym or a pen name. My legal documents to force them to actually call me, by my name. At any rate, so it's one of those things where I just go, wow, is he actually joking or is this guy seriously insulting me? And he's probably doing a little of both.
Yeah,
It makes me
probably.
think of this Rodney Dangerfield stand up. What's in the name?
Well, now I have to
Just
look
the
that
pain
up.
in the ass.
Yeah.
But
You would think he'd be thankful, and for let me just bring it back up.
I doubt he was going to be thankful. Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your website, like, yeah, it's. I mean, not anymore, but yeah.
I'm driving the traffic to you, buddy. Like,
Right. Well,
thank
yeah.
you.
But and also just for the the people watching this, I have not had time to work on my own website in almost a decade. So the most recent entry in there is Deathstroke, which was 2017.
Yes.
So sorry, it's kind of an archive abandoned. It's abandoned in outer space because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way when trying to reach you. I was like, he's this. I was like, what? And I remember saying that to Carrie. I was like, I think it's collecting dust. Like,
Sorry.
No, it was fine because it all worked out. But I was like, oh my God, I would love to. Like, I remember saying that to Carrie. I was like, I would love to have Christopher Priest. I mean, he's so great. I mean, he's an amazing writer. I mean, everything I know from Black Panther, I know from originally. I mean, I read others too, but I was like, originally, I remember like mornings just pouring through the first 3 volumes. Thank you, Harrison Public Library. It was great. But the thing that I have to bring up, because these 3 know that I love origin stories.
Sure,
and yours, there's something I have to bring up because it was so unique and oddly hilarious. Jar, you remember this. But
Yes.
you, I believe, are, to my knowledge, the first Marvel intern editor that did his job on roller skates.
I don't know. I got the roller skates idea from a guy who worked in the back. He was a typesetter, and his office was Marvel's offices in those days were, if you ever seen the TV series Mad Men,
right?
It was like this big rectangle, but it was like much bigger than the Mad Men set, and it wrapped around this office building on Madison Avenue.
Okay.
And Carl, whose last name escapes me right now, I'm sorry, Carl. He worked way in the back, and he had to bring these galleys of typesetting to the editors who were on the other side of the building. So he started wearing roller skates, and I saw him wearing roller skates, so I started wearing roller skates. Yes.
Yeah, and
Very smart.
Again, I never thought of that, and I remember, like, again, because I listened to our interview with you, and you were saying that you're an avid skater and whatnot, and I think it was the late great Jim Shooter was concerned for your safety, or much the safety of your coworkers. Like, you're gonna fall, and I believe your exact words were, "Excuse me, real skaters do not fall."
Yeah, they really don't. I mean, I'll be at the skating rink, and I remember once this really big guy, I mean, like the Shaquille O'Neal sized person, collided with me, and I just kind of grabbed him by the shoulder and said, "Hey, buddy, are you okay?" I mean, if people who are, you got to kind of look up some skating videos, but look up the skating videos that are in the hood. I don't mean the skating videos where women are wearing like hoop skirts and crinolines. I mean, you got to look up the skating rinks of, the skating videos of minorities on skates, and you'll see, you get really good at it. And, but I don't think Jim was all that concerned. Jim was more concerned, I guess, about his bosses seeing me on the skates and having some kind of fit. So his deal with me was that, you can wear the skates as long as no one complains about it. And no one ever did, including the president of the company and all the executives upstairs. I skated past all of them. But the one guy who complained about it was Jim Salicrup, who was an editor there. And he's a good friend of mine. Jim's a good guy, but he went to Jim Shooter and made some complaint or lodged some concern, and Jim insisted I take the skates off. So it was just one guy, Jim Salicrup, thank you, that made my job a lot harder.
Ruined it.
I skate all the time in my dreams. I was never a very good skater. And some people fly and stuff, but I like parkour skate. Like the other night I was saving a bunch of kittens and doing some other things, and we had to go through. But it just, that always happens. But I'm jumping and I'm skating on the side. I do things. I do the Akira slide to stop,
That's so
I am.
Well, you have to
I am
actually
so
learn how to
amazed.
do that in real life. You know,
Oh God,
real
I played
skaters.
that clip at this
Real
point.
skaters don't use that big rubber stop, that toe stop. That's the first thing you
Oh
do
no.
is take those off. You know,
You know, I don't have those.
you can come to a dead stop if you know how, without it needing any of that crap. You know, and you know,
Wow.
you come right up to somebody and you kind of flip your skates around sideways and you hear the skid like zip, and you stop right there. And that's what you have to learn how to do, or people will laugh at you. You have to really learn how to skate if you're going to be around those types of people.
So I know you're recovering right now. You recently threw at your back, you know,
Yeah.
and whatnot. So what I'm saying is that is the goal that eventually you'll feel better, get there, and then come summer you're gonna go up to the attic and just be like, "Hello, old friends. Let's skate again," and just be like, "See that guy there? That guy wrote some of the modern age Black Panther, and what is he doing? He's schooling you on the proper skating technique."
Yeah. Well, you know, I would probably need to go find a proper rink that's playing the right music and all that other stuff.
Right.
Because I've moved around quite a bit.
Mhm.
These days, I spend a lot more time. I have a bunch of road bikes. I'm an avid bicyclist, so I
Nice.
like to be there on. You know, we do group rides. A bunch of us old guys, we do group rides and things. And there's a lot
that's
of
cool.
country things around here, and so I like to spend a lot of time on my bike. So when my back is a little bit better, I'd be out on my bike today if I could
Right.
stand up straight. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand, because where I live in Westchester, so I live near the Tappan Zee.
Oh,
And
yeah.
one of the best things to just get on a bike, put on good music, and just, it's a pain in the ass to go back, but going down with a good, good tunes and whatnot, it's the best, man.
Yeah. I have a route that's just like that is mostly downhill, which is good because you don't want to push yourself too hard right out of the gate. You want to warm up. So
Right.
it being mostly downhill, but the ride back up is less pleasant. But you know, you jump into a low gear, you put on a good podcast, you know, and you just kind of get into this Zen thing, and you just take it easy. The more you think about that climb, the harder it'll be for you. You have to just kind of accept the fact that it
there,
is a
yeah.
Zen part of it. Just the climb, it just simply is.
Yes, absolutely. So, kind of segue to the work. I think
Why? Let's keep talking about roller skates.
No, I'm just saying, again, the one that I definitely feel we all very much, I mean, we all love it, but I have to bring up, because I've read some of it in the past, but now I really sat down and read it. Quantum and Woody, it's just so fucking funny. I just
the jokes
I need to acknowledge it, because I've said it to you, but Carrie particularly loved it, I believe. So Carrie, do you want to just rain down some praise on this?
Oh, I died. I was and I'm like, wait, I have so much more to read. I have to get it in all this other stuff. I'm like, okay, we're only reading the first, but I had to keep going, and I could not put it down. And like the yes, of course we were going to do this, and all the things that you did just killed me. The costumes, and like so we're doing costumes, like, you're the one who wanted to be the hero. What? And having to clang. Okay, yeah. Like,
Clang.
but we're now forever life partners. We can never be apart
Whoa,
from
whoa,
each
whoa.
other. And I freaking
Carrie.
hate you.
Carrie, they're not a couple, though.
They're not a couple.
I know.
You got to remember.
They're not a couple.
They're not a couple.
But,
A couple things about Quantum Woody. Number one, there is a commentary that I wrote. It's called Clang, and it's available on Kindle in my Kindle.
Oh my God!
So there's like a commentary on it. There's some script pages and behind the scenes stuff. Number two, the thing that's important to remember about Quantum and Woody is that if you take the Woody character, that individual character, you pull him out of the series. The series is basically it's Power Man and Iron Fist. It is a standard superhero buddy. It's not a funny book. There's a funny guy in the book.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's other than that, it's kind of standard sort of like action adventure superhero series.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happened was after Acclaim went bankrupt and the property was sold off to what became the New Valiant. they made the classic mistake that everybody makes, where they just seized on the humor and they didn't understand that this really wasn't a funny book. It was just a funny guy. But when they relaunched the book, now we have funny villains and funny situations, and everything is funny and everything is like not brand X. And as a result, it really wasn't, with all due respect that, to the writers and the editors, these are good people and they're professionals, but nobody asked me, because I could have told you, you're getting it wrong. The idea is to have like that one guy, that Chandler Bing guy, who points out the absurdities of, so you have one guy who takes his job very seriously, and one guy who is saying the obvious, who's bringing that to light.
Right.
The guy out of nowhere who's like, Al Capone is black.
Okay.
You're just
Chris,
like, what?
Please,
having fun with, by the way, I'm sorry, having fun with race was also just incredibly liberating. Because Marvel and DC, they're corporate owned, they're being very careful and very politically correct. And I'm like, okay, these are 10-year-olds or however, they're 10 or 11 in these flashback sequences. They're not going to be politically correct. And it's like, just let's have some fun with it.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
Guys, I have to tell them. So I think I was reading this a little too early in the day, because I came across the part where I think it's Woody is trying to tell Eric, like, Al Capone was a black man. Like, we're making him. I actually looked that up. Because for a second I was like, wait a second, did I miss? You know what I mean? Like, I think either this is why you don't read Quantum Woody at like 6 a.m, or this is just, again, I'm going to focus more on this is how good of a writer you are. Is it made me question? I was like, wait a second, hold on, and I looked it up, like the whole thing, and I was like, no, and then later on, like when my brain was like, moron, it's a story. And I'm like, he did it to fuck with him. And I'm like,
gaslighting him, yes.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I've been gaslit by Christopher Priest. I was like, damn, he's good. But the one sequence that I like, I told these three I loved, was the one where Quantum, like grapple hook Batman's down to the car, and then it's just waiting, and then Woody just comes out, sits in, and he's like, what? And I'm like, thank you. Like, I just saw that. I was like, this is so good.
Why on earth would I jump out a window if there's a perfectly good elevator? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
This is one of these things where I'm frequently fighting with artists, and I've done this for 4 decades now, particularly with people who have never worked with me before, who don't understand the power of stat and repeat. And repeat. Okay. It's like when you lock down your camera, and just you move the characters around inside the frame, but you don't change the perspective of the frame itself. What that allows the reader to focus on the movements of the characters. In other words, every time you change perspective, like from panel 1 to panel 2, when you change perspective, the reader now must reorient their eyes. It takes them, a fraction of a second or a second or two.
I know
to put that composition together. Okay, we're out on a street. Here's a bus. Here's a kitty cat crossing the street in front of the bus. They have to like put all that together to move on to the next panel. But if the panels, if the panel themselves are stationary, then they can just focus on the action and the animation within the. I just had this discussion with an artist who shall remain nameless 2 weeks ago, where I wrote a script where I had my usual like stat and repeat, this pause moment, and he refused to do it. He just blew it. So now the joke doesn't land, and I just went, it takes people a while. This is the first time we work together. It takes people a while to trust me, to go, you know what? He's been around for like ever. Maybe I should just draw what's on the page and stop farting around. So that's one of those things.
Question.
We should probably also talk about the noogie thing. Did you see the noogie thing?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. That.
Now that's a true story. Okay, so I wrote this draft of a story. And at some point in here, the N-word shows up, where some drunk is pushing a shopping cart across the street, and he's like, "Hey, Woody, my N-word," he calls him my N-word, right? And it's in the script. So when I turn in my first draft, a lot of time my first draft just has placeholder dialogue because I'm trying to get the rhythm right. So I get this call from Fabian. Fabian Nicieza, so Fabian, creator of Deadpool and X Factor or whatever, rich guy in big house, Fabian. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
So he calls me up and he's like, Jim, we love you. We love the work here. And he's very careful, and he's explaining to me how they went around the room and they discussed it, and we showed it to a couple of lawyers. I go, what are you talking about? And then finally he goes, well, we just can't allow this language. And what language? Well, and he finally goes, well, we can't put the N-word in there. And I go, Fabian, this is just a rough draft. It gets, Lanier is my editor. Lanier, she said it gets cleaned up on her desk before it gets lettered. I mean, all of my script, you can't print my first draft scripts because there's all kind of crap in there, that got cleaned up. It's just there for rhythm. But I thought that, his handling me so cautiously because, sometimes, no offense, but sometimes particularly liberal white people, conservative white people, I'm not that worried about. Liberal white people, they tend to treat us like glass. They don't want to offend. Conservatives, they just go, hey, get out the street, you nigger. They don't care. But it's like, you have to be very cautious,
Dave Chappelle's got a great comedy about that. He's like, down in the South, man, they just tell you.
Right.
Just let it fly.
Right.
So I just turned that, I just turned that into comedy gold. And I went, and we just use that use it in the story. So that was just a very, very fun thing to do.
That completely just changed that entire scene for me. Because again, I was like, wow, this is really funny. And then now I'm like, wow.
It actually happened. That's true. Yeah.
Right. Because I just thought, I was like, man, he is good. Because again, I'm thinking I was like, man, he's just really good with that kind of thing. And then I'm just like, now I'm like, okay. Well, I mean, it's funny because we've interviewed Fabian. And I remember one time he told me when I was interviewing, when funny enough, dressed as a Deadpool character, which he handled very well. He's a great sense of humor. But he was telling us about this time, and you guys remember the bathroom stall story, where he's just like using the bathroom, and somebody slid a copy of like X-Men underneath with a Sharpie for him to sign. And I was like, guys, come on.
Oh, that bathroom story. Okay.
Yeah.
I heard that story. Yeah. I thought you were talking about the scene in Quantum with Woody where they're in each other's bodies.
Oh God!
I'm done.
They don't want to touch their respective Johnsons because it's not their Johnson. It's the other guy's Johnson. So they end up crossing arms to touch each other's Johnsons. And then somebody walks in and sees this going on, and then of course the line, "We're not a couple."
We're not a couple.
Yeah. I believe the Ghostbusters had a great line about that. It's like, don't cross the streams, like it would be bad.
Yeah, exactly.
But goddamn, I can't. Thank you. I'm sorry. Someone else go. I got the giggles.
Okay.
I know what you're saying though, where it isn't a funny comic. It's just because you do address some really kind of emotional and important stuff in it, but goddamn, Woody is just such a doofus in some of the things that he does. Like, not doofus, but like he's such an asshole.
I think
but then you read his, and then I was thinking that, and I'm like, okay, sorry I cut you off, but I want to be like I read, and I'm like, that's what I'm thinking through the very beginning, and then all of a sudden we get like a shit ton more of his backstory, and I'm just like, oh my fucking God, no wonder he acts like Jesus. So you kind of broke me there. That's where I was like, damn.
And a lot of that backstory is borrowed from my own experience. I didn't have that exact experience, but I've had the experience of dealing with a family member who is ODing or whatever, and I had to like walk her around and keep her on her feet until the ambulance got there and so forth. And my teachers, my writing teachers, they always say the same thing. You have to write what you know. So a lot of this from either things I've experienced, things I've witnessed, stories told to me, that kind of thing. I was Dennis Cowan and I had a property that Sam Hamm, the writer of the Tim Burton Batman. So Sam Hamm, Dennis Cowan and I, we had a property that we were pitching to Eddie Murphy, and Eddie Murphy and Paramount. So we took this pitch meeting at Eddie Murphy's office, you know, and it's like me, Dennis, and Sam, a couple of Eddie's people, you know, I think a lawyer or two. So we're up there,
Right.
and Eddie has this sectional couch that's in the corner of his office. And Eddie himself, excuse me, Mr. Murphy, I don't really know him to call him Eddie.
Right,
Eddie,
right.
I apologize. Mr. Murphy is seated right in the corner of this sectional couch, where, you know, against the wall there, and the room is kind of dimly lit, so he's enshrouded in darkness. You can't see him, and we're pitching the story to him, and you know, and I'm doing the best I can pitching the story. And at some point, he says, "Well, why should I do this movie? Why is this part good for me?" And I said, "Because your humor comes from the same place. It's a drama, by the way. We're pitching this drama." And I said,
Right.
"Because, you know, your humor comes from the same place. You know, it comes from this place of anger, you know." And Eddie like hears that, and then he leans forward. And when he leans forward, now he like comes out of the darkness like Darth Vader into the light, you know, and scared the crap out of us. So we all kind of recoil in horror, you know. and he goes, "What did you mean by that?"
Oh,
he asked me, what did you mean by that? You know? And so now everybody with me, Sam, Dennis, whoever else there, they all move away from me and abandon me to this man, you know. And I'm standing, looking across Eddie, and I had to explain to him. I said, "Well, look, I grew up in Queens. He grew up in Roosevelt. So we grew up within maybe 10, 15 miles of each other.
Right.
Okay. And we both grew up in I guess, you know, lower middle class neighborhoods, but you know, I certainly grew up had a pretty rough childhood, and I had to learn, just being this little pudgy kid with big Coke bottle glasses, I had to learn how to take the, you know, slings and arrows, and I developed this very acerbic sense of humor. So I have a similar sense of humor to what I identify with Mr. Murphy's sense of humor because of that shared experience. You know, and that seemed to appease him, and he seemed to kind of nod and go, "Okay, I get it now." But it was one of those moments where I went, "Ah!" So Woody's sense of humor comes out of that tough upbringing. It's his bulletproof vest, if that makes any sense to you.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%. And thank you for sharing that. Now I'm like, okay, so Eddie Murphy, horror movie, got it. No more family comes. Put him in, you know, Vampire in Brooklyn 2.
Actually, this was a thriller, but you know, hopefully we'll get it made one of these days. It's one of many things that are out there somewhere in Hollywood land.
Yeah, that nice creative limbo.
Yeah.
Where good ideas just wait to be selected.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, with ideas out there somewhere, I hear you've pitched a Star Trek story several times. Too edgy.
Oh my God.
I just saw Heather, I think her name is, from IDW. I saw her at a convention. I think it was New Orleans where I saw her there, and I mentioned that to her. I saw Michael Dorn at a convention, and I tried to mention it to him, and Michael had no idea who I was, and he was just like, you know, "Get away from me, kid." You know?
Right.
I mentioned it to LeVar Burton, who I had lunch with, and I'm sure it just went out of his head too. But no, IDW called me like, gosh, by now it's got to be 10, 15 years ago. And I forgot who it was, but it was somebody I knew who was now working at IDW, and said, "Hey, you know, why don't you come and pitch a Star Trek story?" I only have one idea for a Star Trek story, and I pitched them this idea, and they really liked it. I think I pitched it as a 3-part story. They asked me to expand it to 5 parts. They sent it up to Paramount. At that time, J.J. Abrams was developing his revamp of the Star Trek universe, and he had veto power on everything. And my understanding is that Abrams or his ilk, his company, booted it. So I have brought it back to IDW. Every time they change editor-in-chiefs up there, you know, they get an email from me and go, "Hey, what about this?" You know, because I wrote it. I wrote it for fun. It's actually on my website. You can find it on the website. Just go to my website and click the little directory button and look for Star Trek. And it's actually there. You can download it. You can read it. It's a fun Worf story. And I'm disappointed that we never got it made.
That's sad.
And it's my one Star Trek story. I don't have any other Star Trek ideas. I've tried, but I'm like, I don't know. That's the one idea I had.
Does that happen a lot where you write out a whole script and stuff and they're just like, no, we're not going with this. This is too risque.
I wrote this out for myself. I wrote it out for fun. I think I wrote it during the 7 or 8 years where I wasn't working in comics. And I was instead pastoring a church or two or whatever I was doing. I think, because I couldn't even imagine doing that now because I'm too busy to write for fun. Right now, I'm just, you're like a squirrel and you're like a hamster in one of those hamster wheels. That's what writing comics is like. It's like, okay, I turned in that job. Whew, thank God, and now I start this one, or you fall behind. And if you fall behind, now you're really in hell because now you have an artist somewhere with nothing on his board to draw. So I couldn't imagine doing it now. So I'm pretty sure that I wrote it during the time when I wasn't writing for a living, where I was just kind of doing, one-off projects like the Quantum and Woody, special, whatever we call that. I had the time to do it, and I really liked the idea, and I said, well, I'll just, they don't have to buy it. I'll just write it for myself. So the whole thing is actually this full script. It's all written. It's downloadable on my website. And for free. And for free. By the way, I'm not selling anything. Yeah.
You talk and you say these things, and I can just hear the money disappearing from Carrie and Leo's wallet.
But I don't sell anything. I'm terrible. I have no retail value whatsoever. I give stuff away. I'm happy to send you a copy, Carrie. Not a problem.
There you go, man. But yeah, so kind of also talking more about some of the work we read. Well, I have to ask about something about Vampirella because we read like the first 6 issues, and I've never really read much Vampirella, so I'm going into this completely blind. The older man that she was talking to, kind of like her little confidant in the beginning, is that Denny O'Neil?
Okay, now which when you said Vampirella, so were you reading like the most recent number one?
Yeah,
you're not talking about the 2018 when I started number one.
No. I'm talking about
the white guy you're talking about.
Yeah, white, older man.
Yeah, right. Okay, I can neither confirm nor deny who that is for legal reasons.
That's fine. Just because, again, it was just one of those things. Like I saw that, and if that is Fenny O'Neill, a fake Denny, if that is Fenny O'Neill, that was just. If that was either you or your artist. That was just phenomenal. I had the pleasure of getting to meet him more than once.
Yeah.
And he was just the nicest person in the world. But he had such this fantastic wit about him. I'll never forget, me and my girlfriend, we were at a panel at Terrificon, and they were talking about the evolution of Robin. And guys, I told you this story, so just bear with me one more time. And we were talking about it, and he just in the mic, are there any representatives of Warner Brothers sitting in this audience? and it was like, no, we're all good. And he just, I don't remember the tirade of curses that followed, but it was one of those things that me and my girl were just like, well, Uncle Denny is the best. And because he's just going on, he's like, those motherfuckers wouldn't, I'm just like, he's just going in about the things Warner Brothers wouldn't let him do, despite the obvious lapse in logic, reason, like anything. I think he said something like, did anybody actually go to school and learn basic writing? I'm just like, wow. Like, it was one of those where.
Keep going. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. It was just, if that was wonderful, if it wasn't, it sure looked like him, bud. But
Denny O'Neil was like he was like one, like Larry Hama was like a dad to me. And Denny would be like an uncle. I mean, Denny and I, we started out in a rough patch because Jim Shooter took me down the hall and forced me on him. Denny was looking for a writer for Power Man and Iron Fist. So Shooter actually said, follow me. And I went down the hall, and he walks into Denny's office. He points to me, goes, this is your new Power Man and Iron Fist writer. Okay. Now, editors hate it when the editor-in-chief comes in and forces talent on them. Editors want to be able to put their own books together. But Jim had a lot of confidence in me. Jim Shooter was kind of my rabbi. He was my tutor. He was the guy that hired me as an intern, and he rightly assumed that the only way to get better is to do the work. You have to get on a monthly book. and you have to get into the grind, and the more you're
Yeah.
into the grind, the faster your work will improve. So Denny resented that and resented me, and it started out really, really bad. But a script or two later, Denny started to see whatever small potential I may have had in those. I was like 20, 19, whatever I was, and as the relationship evolved, by the time of his passing, Denny was like family, and I loved him a lot, so obviously for legal reasons I can't comment on who that person might have been.
Right.
That particular story. Just real quick, Paul Levitz should factor into your comment here about Denny and complaining about the corporate interference.
Yeah.
Paul Levitz, his whole function was to build this Chinese wall between the publishing and the studio. And with Paul's transition, that wall came down, and there hasn't been anyone strong enough. Paul was so strong. Between Paul and Jeanette, they were very, they were like Wile E. Coyote in keeping the studio out of our hair. And without them, now you have all this corporate meddling going on in the thing. But last point is that particular, so now I know which Vampirella #1 you're talking about, because there's been a couple of them. Here she's dealing with postpartum depression, where she has, in the previous story arc, her baby had been stolen, and she thought the baby was dead. Then she found out the baby was alive. Then she realized her twin sister her evil twin had stolen the baby. It's so soap opera.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
She defeats the evil twin. She rescues her child. She gets her child back. It's a happy ending. The Ewoks dance. The music plays. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have this new #1. She's got her baby back, and she's just in hell because she never bonded with the baby. She doesn't know how to be a mother. She's not in love with her own child. She feels guilty about not being in love with her own child. The child is driving her nuts. The child is, you got to feed the kid 2 or 3 times a day. So somebody would ask me, well, first of all, by what right do you, a male, get to write a female character? Let's start there. Or you, a black person, what do you know about being a white female vampire from outer space or whatever? I get that every now and then, and then certainly, what the heck would you know about, what she's going through, and most of what I'm writing in that, particularly that first issue where she's being driven crazy by the baby, I lived that. That was me. Okay. I was 13 years old. My sister comes home with this baby. My sister is 16 and irresponsible, and she would wander out into the street or whatever while I was asleep, and I would wake up and I'd be alone with this baby, because she knew I wasn't going to just leave the baby. So now I'm Mr. Mom with the baby, or the baby's crying in the middle of the night and Deborah's not, excuse me, we'll edit that out. That person is not getting up with the baby, and I got to get up and go to school in the morning, and I'm like, and I get up and I gotta deal with this stupid baby. I got to quiet this baby down. And this is back in the Stone Age. There is no microwave. You have to go and you got to put the pot on the stove, and you put the water in the bottle and the refrigerator with the bottle. I got the baby here. You got to rock the baby, and and it was just.
I'm just trying to imagine all this. This is great.
The baby is driving me. I'm 13 years old, folks. Okay, but here's the thing: if you're caring for an infant long enough, the strangest thing happens. You start to fall in love with her. You can't help it. You do enough of those 2 o'clock feedings, because I couldn't stand this baby. And I. Honest to gosh, before I knew it, I was bonding with her. I had no choice. I was forcibly becoming a dad. So yeah, I'm writing what I know. I'm writing what I know, and to people who object to me writing a postpartum story, shuddy.
It's kind of crazy that people have that kind of I don't know what to call it, bravios to question like. A writer, hey, who do you think you are to write this? Like, life experiences happen to everybody.
I mean, Jar, I think the thing being is it's kind of like the same way, it's the same way people feel that they can say whatever the fuck they want because they pay for a ticket at a game. They buy the book, so they're spending the money, so they feel, well, this entitles my opinion, and we've seen this in comics as much. You have all these people bemoaning, complaining about, oh, this character, this direction, you know, and then where were we? We're like, okay, where's your story? Are you working on something? Like, what's your big pitch? Like, you know, so it's just it's really easy to talk a big game, but then again, when you get push comes to shove, you know, it's just a bunch of hot air balloons floating around out there, man.
Well,
So,
you know, the thing to bear in mind is The Wire, the TV show The Wire, arguably one of the best TV shows ever made. That dealt with, like, you know, this basically urban Black culture, you know, in Boston, was written by two middle-aged white guys. Okay. I didn't work for 7 years because all they would offer me was Black characters. And I refused to be pigeonholed like that. You know, I refused to be, you know, an adjective writer, you know, because you know, when you append an adjective, you know, instead of saying, you know, artist, you know, Mary Poppins or whatever, you know, now it's like female artist Mary Poppins. It's like a modifier before. Once you start putting that modifier before someone's name, it reads as less than. So all of a sudden, less than writer Christopher Priest, you know, is now writing, Ghetto Man or whatever the story is. I just refuse to be, I refuse to allow that to happen, particularly after Black Panther, because Black Panther, that book wasn't actually about the Black guy. It was about the white guy.
That was my whole thing reading Black Panther. I was just like, this is all through Ross's fucking perspective. This is great.
It is a book about this guy's cultural awakening, his encounter with this guy, with this African king. And we took that tack because you have to dance with the one that brung you. And what I mean by that is, you know, you can't become so insulated that you are writing to this very tiny segment or cohort of an audience. You know, we have a group of retailers. We have a network of distributors. We have to put a product in the store that they can sell to their people, to their customers. Okay. So I thought to myself, when Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti approached me to do this book, I thought to myself, well, how do we do that? You know, we have to give voice to every reason a white male customer might have for not reading a comic book about a Black character. So we have to, like, you know, give them that ride along character, that point of view character that can pull them into this world. And we succeeded with Ross because Ross could bring that humor. And Black Panther was never funny before, by the way. So I was what the fuck. But it terrified Marvel. I said, oh, and by the way, it's going to be funny. And they were like, oh, it can't be funny. What? It's Black Panther. You know, Black Panther was always like
political.
And now the jungle cat approaches.
Yeah,
shut up. You know, so you know that's really why we did that. But I agree. I think that it bothers me that that female writers are mostly, and artists are mostly steered towards female characters. You know, same thing with people of color and so forth like that. I think we should be. You have to be able to credibly write whatever it is. But I think that I could write Wonder Woman just as well as Mr. King can. With all due respect to Mr. King, he's a wonderful guy and a friend of mine. You know, but you know, when we did Superman Lost, my whole reason for wanting to do Superman Lost, as opposed to doing the Black Superman or some other, you know, take on Superman, was I wanted this group, you know, this you know, this group of people that I'm talking to right now. I wanted you all to read that comic book and kind of shrug and go, okay, so what? It's Superman, you know. And I go, well, that's my point. That I can write Superman as credibly as anybody else. And it's, you won't even notice that the writer is Black. It has nothing to do with the story.
Right. And to give you credit, Chris, like, I'm not really a Superman fan. Like, I like Superman stories. I've never been the biggest Superman fan. And I was really, really impressed with how the story went. And then again, like the notes that you hit, like the points, because I feel like with a lot of these long-standing, let's say, legacy characters, it's so easy to just play it safe, you know. You know, like, oh, of course, Superman is a calamity. Oh, it's Lex Luthor. Oh, he has some sort of moral conundrum. and whatnot. But like you took it in this such a way, like Superman, he's lost. Like it's true. Like he's lost. He is away from Earth. He is in a place where nobody really knows who he is. He's confronted with so much, like the themes of loss, abandonment, anger, like dealing with the trauma of being a survivor, which is something that I feel like we don't
survivor guilt.
On.
Yes.
Yeah, the survivor guilt, which is something that we touched on, but this one you really felt it because it wasn't just I am the survivor of one world I don't remember, and then I was out of world for a decade and I couldn't save it. I had to leave just to come home. I'm not a hero. I'm selfish and whatnot. But the thing that fucked me up is your Lex Luthor was fantastic. I mean, literally what he does.
I love him.
The Lois Lane. And again, I'm not spoiling anything because we don't really like spoilers. We want people to go out and read it. What he did to Lois Lane, and especially he just so nonchalant. I was like, oh yeah, by the way, I've done this to you, but the Bula base looks great. That was like,
I love that. I love that scene. You know, when I write when I wrote Lex Luthor, I was writing Avery Tolar. Now, who's Avery Tolar? Avery Tolar is the character that Gene Hackman played in the Tom Cruise film The Firm. So if you ever go and watch that film, or at least watch his scenes in it, you'll go, that's what Priest was doing in Lost. I think every time you strap on a suit of armor and have Luthor get into a physical fist fight with Superman, with all due respect to writers, to terrific writers who make way more money than I do, you don't understand the character. The whole point of Lex Luthor is that he's a middle-aged, overweight guy who is giving the most powerful man on the planet heartburn. That's Lex Luthor. He doesn't hit him with fists, and even with the James Gunn movie, with all due respect to Mr. Gunn, there was too much magic. There was too much unexplained, like way over the top technology going on there. What we did in Lost, which we won't spoil, but what we did in Lost was kind of low tech. It was just like he's just a bastard, and he just, and in fact, even in the James Gunn Superman, he was a villain for the sake of being a villain, but he wasn't a bastard. Lex is a bastard. He's a truly, the Joker is a nihilist who just wants to watch the world burn. Luthor is he's just pure evil. He's just a total, what a jerk this guy is, But last thing, but the Lost thing, I think the book suffers from reader assumption that some readers who have never read the book who passed on it and didn't bother to read it, is they think it's a series about this space odyssey where Superman is like, it's 12 issues of Superman wandering through space and having these different adventures, and that's not it at all. The book is actually, he's back home on page 7 or something. The book is really about how Lois gets her guy back. It's really a Lois Lane story more than anything else, where Superman has returned from this mission, and he's been traumatized, and all of a sudden he's been missing. Although he's only been gone for like a couple hours, he's experienced 20 years, because of the time distillation. He's been actually missing for 20 years. So, he goes back to the Daily Planet and he can't remember what he used to do there because it's been so long, even though it's only been like a few hours in our time. But, Jimmy and Perry, these people are ghosts to him, and he's seated at his desk and he doesn't know what to do now. That's what the book is about. But, it kind of suffers from like, if we don't do our job right, promoting it and really communicating, what this series is actually about, then people will just see a cover of him out in space and think, oh, it's going to be a 12 issues of a space odyssey. Yawn. I don't want to see that.
Well,
although I have to say, cover number 2 is amazing.
With the Casper the Friendly Ghost costume. I thought we needed to put a new costume on him to help us stand out on the newsstand, a newsstand that's crowded with Superman books.
Yes. Oh yeah. And then on top of it, the cast, But I'll piggyback on that in a second, because Carrie, there was a moment, Carrie, I think you said you particularly loved that regarded breathing, right, Carrie?
Yeah.
I'm totally with you on this too.
So it's in the very beginning almost. Lois telling him, "Don't forget to breathe."
Yeah.
And I think that's something that right now everybody needs to hear.
Wow. Yeah.
But it's like
Wow, you
it's
make
so
me sound smarter than I
literal.
actually am, but that's a good point.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep telling you how smart you are, because you basically
See, right
predicted.
there, right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's
All
been in
right.
space so long, he's so used to
Yeah.
holding his breath for hours that she's reminding him to breathe. Yeah.
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 No,
So
that was definitely a deep moment.
But
And
she's,
and you're right, Carrie, that particularly our country right now, that's good advice. Everybody, please don't forget to breathe. Yeah.
Roll back your
Stop for a
shoulders,
second.
let the
Yeah.
tension go, unclench your jaw. But you're pulling her. He kind of right now is becoming like that's the universal us.
Yeah.
And Lois, she's trying to still get her story done and be snappy, but get her man back, And then
Yeah.
something else that you did. There's like it shows our world and how people are kind of obsessed with their phones and they're doing things or whatever. But then when you have
Yeah, the aliens,
like
they're all
the
on their
victors,
phones.
it's like they are totally destroying their planet and everything, and they're voting to not get taken care of, and they're all stuck to their phones.
They're
It's like
rolling
this
back
super hyper
environmental
exaggerate.
protections. They're canceling the space program that could save them. Yeah.
They
Sound familiar?
vote
Yeah.
for it. And then like you go through all this and we run into this horrible evil Lex Luthor who specifically states that he hates Clark, or he hates Superman just because he breathes.
I love that line.
And that was
He
all that I
breathes,
was
and I
like,
want to
oh.
gouge my eye out with a souffle fork.
Yes.
I hate him. You know why I hate him, Miss Lane? Because he breathes. He breathes, Miss Lane, and I want to gouge my eye out with an etouffee fork. He just hates him. He just hates him. Go ahead.
And then at the very end, it keeps going on, and she's like, you have to have hope, and so Superman goes back, and he's going to be holding his breath again, and they send back, and it's to have hope, you must cross your fingers, hold your breath, and trust. And so it's like for her to get back what she wanted, he's going back to holding his breath so that she can have something real.
Just for her to get him back, she has to let him go. Think about that too.
Yeah. And so this whole thing about breathing, and that's something that I've posted over the past couple of years. I like to put, like roll back your shoulders, unclench your jaw, don't forget to breathe. And this was so on spot, and I was just like, the whole thing, like you have all of these great little references thrown in to breathing, and it just I really appreciated that you did that.
And God, even you had Hope. You know what I mean? The
character. The character named Hope. You
have this character Hope. She doesn't even know who she is. Like literally, he has to teach her how to be I don't want to explain this, but how to be a Green Lantern. And he isn't even one of them. He knows everything from Hal Jordan, which, with all due respect, is kind of a questionable source of Green Lanternism, considering the amount of times he's been a Lantern, not a Lantern, rogue Lantern, bad Lantern, evil Lantern, not a Lantern, then a Lantern. I'm like, oh my God, there's so many Lanterns. But like, how is there anything for darkness in this thing? There's so many Lanterns.
Wouldn't you like to be a Lantern too?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't worry, we've got the color blue, Sorry, we sing here.
But the idea is this character shows up on the last page of, I think it's issue 7, whatever it is, and if I did this right, the fans are going, yes, he's finally got a ride home, and then you come back next issue and she's like, what's a lantern? Earth, what's Earth?
And I think that's the thing I also loved is that you didn't take there were so many ways you could have been and done 3 issues, you know what I mean? But and I'm like, yes, because that's like
the space dolphins.
Oh my!
They run off with his costume, something he took completely for granted until he lost it, and now he's like losing his mind because the one thing he's got left, The one thing he's got left is that suit that his mother made for him, and the damn dolphins, just warped. It just went into warp speed with his backpack with the costume, and he's chasing after the. He's risking everything to get this damn cape back, and he gets the cape back, and he just collapses into the cape, And I go, so I called up Mark Waid to write that scene. I said, Mark, how far can I push him? And he says, what do you mean? He says, like how far can I push Superman before I break him? I mean, is this too over the top? Can he's like my consigliere. So Mark, would talk me through that. And then the shadow story editor was actually Mike Carlin, arguably one of the greatest Superman editors ever, who was like the Triangle series and Death of Superman and on and on and on. So there's a scene where he goes to see Supergirl's psychiatrist. Superman goes to see Supergirl's psychiatrist. That's supposed to be Mike Carlin, but Carlo didn't get the likeness right. But that's Mike, and Mike, to his credit and shout out to him, he spent hours and hours and hours on the phone with me, just talking through Superman, just talking about story, just talking about, this kind of thing. So I had really good friends, really good help, very experienced Superman veterans. If this book felt right, if it felt like Superman to you, shout out to those guys, because they were very, very instrumental in helping me, kind of put this puzzle together.
And well, one, I need to say, bring up the space dolphins, which was always something I loved from Lobo. I was like, Lobo hates everybody. He would torch this whole world. Yeah. But he had this pack of space dolphins that somehow he really loves and he takes care of. And I'm just like, you know what? This tracks. This absolutely fine.
You also forgot the Sandy Superman. We were talking about Denny O'Neil earlier.
Right.
So the big Sandy Superman, that's an homage to Denny's all too brief run on Superman, where he built this construct.
Right. No. You're right. I totally forgot about that. But then, and then it's just so funny that you mentioned that, because I remember reading that the great Jason Aaron, who we've had the pleasure of having on the show more than once.
He is great. Yes, he is. I just saw him recently. Yes.
No, he's wonderful. Carrie's a big fan.
He gets all the jobs that they never offer me, and I go, lost another one to Jason Aaron.
Okay, but you make people laugh. Every time I see Jason, I just ask him, "Who broke you?" But who did that to you? Can I help? Would you like some rum?
Yeah, and
let me give you a tiki. It'll be okay.
There you go. Yeah, he loves his tiki. And then we've also had the great Mark Waid on more than once, and we're still very happy about that. But it's just so funny that Mark is like the Superman guru. I mean, if anybody's written Superman so much, it's him. But it's just so funny that also, like, Mark Waid, who one day we would love to have a karaoke session with, because apparently he can sing. But it's just remarkable, and like, no wonder this is great. I mean, Mark Waid was just like, I can just see him too, like glasses, everything. All right, good. All right, fine. You owe me Chris, you owe me a Diet Coke. The man loves his Diet Cokes. Fun fact: if you do see him at a con, and you got the Diet Coke, and the Diet Coke has a Superman cozy on it, that's something we gave him at one of his convention appearances. Actually, correction, where credit's due, it's all Carrie above me here. And we saw it in an image, and I remember, Carrie, I sent that to you. It was like, that looks kind of familiar, huh, Carrie? Keeping his Diet Coke super cold.
Don't worry, because if we see you at a convention, you'll probably get one too.
Excellent. I'll take it. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
So since we're on the topic of Mark Waid,
of course.
Yeah. I heard you mention on another interview, with the exception of Mark Waid and Frank Miller, you said that using a first-person narrative is a crutch, and you don't use thought bubbles or captions.
Yep.
Care to elaborate more into that?
Well, I think that there was probably no one better at it than Frank. I think Mark probably started doing. I have to go back and look and see which one of them started first, because Mark did it very well in the Flash. I did it in the Ray. I did it in Spider-Man versus Wolverine. I do it occasionally in Vampirella. But now every time I go plowing through a pile of comics, every single solitary friggin' comic now is done in first person narrative. And the reason why I call it a crutch is that it's much easier for me to like if I'm writing Batman to get into Batman's thoughts about what he's doing and why he's doing it, which to me takes away the mystique of the character, number one. But if you go back and read like my Deathstroke, so we had like 2 number ones. We had Rebirth Deathstroke number 1, and then just regular Deathstroke number 1. It was a weird thing that DC was doing at the time to capitalize and do a two for one. Pardon the pun there. 2 issue number 1s. But if you read those first 2 issues of Deathstroke I did, it's like once upon a time there was a guy named Slade. Okay, and this is how he related to his family. He was a real bastard to his kids. Blah, blah, blah. And then Slade in his real life is this guy Deathstroke. Here's what Deathstroke does for a living. And he goes out and he murders Clock King. Okay. And there's not a single first person narrative. I don't want to get inside the guy's head. It's much harder to tell a story with pictures. And we're supposed to be telling a story with pictures. We're supposed to be telling a sequential story with pictures. Now, with Frank, he was doing kind of a crime noir sort of thing. What Wade was doing with Flash, and Wally West, was kind of this very personal, sort of unique, take on the character. But if I were king, and God, forbid that ever happens, if somebody ever actually dumb enough to make me publisher of DC or Marvel or something like that, the first thing I would do would be outlaw first person narrative. You must have my written permission before you can you have to learn how to write. You can't keep taking these shortcuts. Write me a story, get me through 20 pages without leaning on the crutch. Prove to me you can do that, and then now make a case for when you want to use that technique. But right now, everybody's using it every time. It's like that's the only way to write comics now. Every comic you read now is like, and who the hell are they talking to? Page 1 is like, I was going out for tacos and I saw this guy robbing a bank. And I'm like, who are they talking to? Right. At least in Vampirella, she's got the psychiatrist who may or may not be loosely based on Sam Jackson. Again, I can't confirm or deny.
Right.
But he's very funny, and I would love to have Mr. Jackson play this character, when we make the Vampirella movie or whatever, which is actually a very strong possibility. But anyway, in Vampirella's thing, at least I know she's talking to this guy. She's on the couch in his office, and she's talking to this guy and telling him this is what happened or whatever like that. So there's a case to be made for using it. But I personally now, I just despise it. I feel like every time I use it that I've kind of failed, because I'm always challenging myself. Can I make it through this particular story without having to do any of that? And as far as Batman goes, I never want to know it. Like when I write Black Panther, you never know what Black Panther is thinking. You have people around Black Panther. You put these other characters in their orbit who are speculating, like we're doing this thing, the world to come now. Okay. Right. And the first few issues were really controversial because the white guy and all this other stuff. Okay. Yeah. Whatever, but the band is back together and Ross is kind of narrating, but Ross is an old guy and he's half senile, but you put these characters in Panther's orbit who are speculating. Here's what I think this guy is doing. Here's why I think this guy is doing it. Right. But they are unreliable narrators because they don't know for sure, because Panther's not telling you what he's doing or why. And, we spend like 3 or 4 issues with Panther kind of losing the game and near death and he's crippled and all this other stuff. And then all of a sudden in one issue, in the middle of the issue, he disappears. And that should be your first clue, Sherlock, that he's up to something, right. And that, you don't know. And that's the fun to me of like reading a Sherlock Holmes story or reading a Batman story or a Dracula story, or for that matter, a Black Panther story. Right. Don't take me inside these characters' heads. Keep me out of Batman's head. You know, I don't want to know what his motives are or what he's up to. Surprise me and then let the pictures actually tell the story. I'm sorry, I'm ranting, but
that's
why we brought you
totally
here.
exactly. Like for instance, like rereading Black Panther. First thing I remember, I think reading somewhere that Everett Ross there was some inspiration for him was like David Schwimmer's character in Friends, which I was like, wow, totally fit.
Matthew Perry.
Oh, okay,
the Chandler Bing character.
Sorry, wrong character. Totally love it more now.
Yes.
Wrong friend. Totally love it more now because I've always been more of a Chandler than anything in my life. But the thing that, and I thought about someone here would really love this moment, Leo, was Mephisto giving Ross a pair of pants.
The devil's pants.
Like literally, I swear to God, because I know in the Marvel universe now we have technically, quote unquote, we have a Mephisto. If he runs into Everett Ross and there's any sort of clothing exchange, I will lose my nerdy mind. Like literally, I don't care if he references Harry Potter and he gives Ross a sock. I don't care. Whatever it is, I'll see that and I'm gonna be like, oh God, this is not gonna go well. You know,
I think Mephisto. I think Ross kind of hallucinates Mephisto in the world to come in the current series. So there is, I think it's issue 2. There is a bit with Mephisto, but unfortunately, we don't give him because he's not actually there.
Right.
Because otherwise, we would have probably did the pants gag again. But yeah, that was just another example of just me being silly and taking. You know, whenever you're writing any kind of drama or dramatic piece, there's always some moment where you could like step to the side and inject some humor into it. And you don't have to work that hard to do it. Those moments kind of present themselves. So if Mephisto is sitting there at the apartment waiting for Panther to come back, you know, then I'm like, well, how does he pass the time? You know,
which is crazy all in itself that Mephisto's sitting there waiting.
And Ross is in his jockey shorts, you know, because he was in a bar fight and these female strippers stole his pants. So, you know, he just got released from prison and he's in his jockey shorts and Mephisto shows up. So he's sitting there with no pants on, you know, and I forgot how it went, but I think either Ross asked for a pair of pants or Mephisto offered. Okay.
He did. He was like, and then he's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
I just sold my soul
for a pair of khakis.
I just sold my soul for a pair of pants. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just like, oh my God, you are the greatest idiot in the world.
Now I tell you, like Joe and Jimmy are they're the instigators. They, you know, I wrote issue number 1 of Black Panther. I should post that to my site somewhere, and they rejected it. Because I wrote a very serious, very Don McGregor, very down to earth, you know, and then the jungle cat, you know, stalks us away, you know, that kind of thing. And they read it and they called me and said, "What are you doing? What is this? What are you doing?" You know, they said, "No. We want what you did with Quantum and Woody. We want that, like, you know, Pulp Fiction and Rewind, you know, that thing with the chapter titles." And they specifically asked me to do that. And then at every step of the way, Joe and Jimmy, you know, and Jimmy's as big a cut up as I am, you know. They would encourage my darker instincts. Let's put it that way.
I love they got the artists to work with you, like Texiera. You had Amanda Connor.
Well, that's Quesada under there. So Quesada laid it out, and then Tex came along and did this sort of wash thing.
Yeah.
And then now I'm having a senior moment. I forgot who the colors was, but then the colors came along and painted it, and he had this processed color look that we can easily achieve today because everything is digitally printed now.
Yeah,
but you have to remember this was like 1990, whatever it was, 99. You know, and you didn't have that process back then. But Marvel Knights, they made it happen. It was great.
Again, all of it was just fantastic. I mean, even in the beginning when he's just telling things out of sequence, and what is it, like his boss Nikki, it's just like, okay, hold on, Pulp Fiction, like, please start from the, and just keeps going, and she just throws like her drink in the face, and it's even like when he arrives, it's just Ross in his car, and
Oh, and the
And he's
Miata,
like,
yeah.
Oh,
he,
yeah.
he goes to pick up the Black Panther in a two-seater Mazda Miata because he figures it's just this guy, you know. And he shows up there, and of course, it's the king of this African nation, and he has this incredible entourage. And then Panther doesn't want to disrespect his host, so they all pile into the Miata, you know. And yeah, that was fun.
I mean,
and he's playing cool in the gang when he pulls him up. He's jungle boogie. When he picks the guy up, you know.
Oh my God. It was just again, the whole thing. It's just such a good read. And then what I also love is that the twists, like the twist, it's not predictable. I'm like, oh wow, like, you know, again, like I didn't see it coming. Like reading Worlds to Come, which again, fantastic. Like certain characters popping up.
Achebe.
Like, oh my God,
who is the Joker to Panther's Batman? For those of you who don't know, you know, and he's, you know, I mean, he's just always been hilarious. You know, I mean, right from the beginning, back in the original series, he was just, you know, he's the nihilistic, you know, person and so forth. You know, and he's like, you know, now he's like the president. He seized control of Cuba, so he's like this dictator of Cuba, and he's giving this big Citizen Kane speech. And we did exactly, you know, they took that frame from Citizen Kane, you know, where he's standing in front of a big poster of himself. That's Citizen Kane there, you know, and Achebe is declaring, "I alone can biscuit." He was promising free biscuits to everybody.
Yeah,
I alone can biscuit.
Like I said, because again, there were certain Marvel characters that showed up that I was.
Oh right, yes.
Yeah, again, not going to spoil anything, but you had one or two from the Marvel Knights that I was like, I'm sorry, what? That they're here? Like, geez. But
the whole world is there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that, you know, our hope was that, you know, we would be able to kind of like build our own little corner of the Marvel universe and have Marvel Knights be an ongoing concern again. Right now, that's really up in the air. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen or it will happen. I don't know. But that was why this book was not called Black Panther. It was called The World to Come. It was just world building for this new jumping off thing, this new adventure that we might do.
Well, and then kind of piggybacking off the Trickster, because he showed, like, as you during your Deadpool run, because this is the one thing we enjoyed about, he shows up, and that's one of the most random, hilarious things. I think it was Deadpool arguing. Yeah, it was Deadpool arguing with a hand puppet,
right?
That's on his own hand.
The hand puppet is Daki. Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, hold on.
You know, the rumor is that Denzel is going to play that character. Now, Denzel may end up being Magneto, but I think it would be awesome if Denzel would take a shot at what would Denzel do if he was playing the Joker, you know? Because that's basically what Achebe is.
Right.
Know?
Yeah. And again, I know we when I saw you recently, we talked about you working on Deadpool briefly, but I know that Carrie had a question about, I think it was something that you did in the beginning, which was a hilarious nod to the great Joe Kelly, your roommate. Carrie?
Oh no, it was just the on the bag as the thing starts with its every good idea Kelly ever had and everything that made this book work. And then it's just thrown.
Drop.
That,
I really don't even remember that. I'll have to go look at that again. Okay.
It's right there.
Yeah, he's got it up right now, but he's not wearing his glasses.
It's okay.
Sorry.
The other thing is the pork chops in the toaster. Seriously.
I love that. Yeah.
Oh my
Jim
God.
Calafiore, the artist Jim Calafiore, he nailed it. He had the little chef's hat, and he's like, "You want a chop?" You know, and he's like, and it was an ongoing gag. There was two ongoing gags. One was him making pork chops in the toaster. The other was him constantly like wanting to keep mementos, like Thor's hammer. He goes, "Can I keep this?" you know. By the way, I had Deadpool show up. Deadpool. Okay, I had Deadpool show up in Deathstroke. I renamed him. What did I call him? I called him Death Mask, and he showed up around issue toward the end, 42, 43. He showed up in the Arkham Asylum arc. Okay, so he's locked up in there. He's one of the inmates. He's got a different costume, but if you know, he's obviously Deadpool. Okay, And they end up breaking out and having some adventures or whatever like that. And there's at some point in the story where all mayhem is breaking loose and he's doing obvious Deadpool jokes, including "Can I keep that?" and pork chops in the toaster or whatever. And at some point, he stops in the middle of the fight and turns directly to the camera and looks right in the camera and goes, "Wouldn't it be ironic if they sued us?" Considering Deadpool is a ripoff of Deathstroke.
Yeah, exactly.
For Marvel to file a lawsuit against DC for ripping off Deadpool, who they ripped off from Deathstroke, I'm like, it makes your head spin.
Right. I mean, you did things like that in your Deadpool run. I mean, one of the best jokes is, "Are you Tom Cruise?"
Loki curses him,
right.
and gives him Tom Cruise's face. So all of a sudden he's like this. It was called Johnny Handsome. So now he's this incredibly handsome guy, and he's just going about his business. And every now and then people could just stop and go, "Wait, aren't you Tom Cruise?"
Yeah, and he's just so mad about it. And then the other thing, it was near the end of your run, like you have Deadpool out in space and whatnot, and you've got like the fucking it's basically, I was like, this is essentially Lobo. Like it's everything but Lobo.
Yeah.
It's Man in the Iron Mask Lobo.
Yeah.
So it's just like the whole time I'm reading this, I'm like, I can't. I just can't. Like
I'm pretty sure that was Ruben's idea. Ruben Diaz was my editor. By the way, just to make your head completely spin. So Ruben and I, good friends, and he was editing Deadpool and he edited Panther for a while. I actually wrote him into Quantum and Woody. And he was Ruben Diaz, a Marvel editor of Marvel Comics. Well, but we called it Dark Kitty instead of Black Panther. And Woody was upset that he thought that they had ripped off his deal. So he goes to Marvel to complain about it, and he ends up in Ruben's office and he's complaining about this thing here, and we drew Ruben into the story. His name is Ruben. He's an editor at Marvel, and he became part of the Quantum and Woody cast toward the last few issues of Quantum and Woody.
Awesome.
And he loved it. He just absolutely loved it.
Yeah, that's an honor.
I loved also that you have the same costume designer showing up in Quantum and Woody and Deadpool and the same costumes. They're more Black Legend.
About that,
and I was just like, oh my God, even the Dice Spinner.
That showed up, didn't it? The Dice Spinny Spider-Man Wolverine costume.
Yeah. And he's wearing it. I was just like, oh my God. It's the other continuity that you have through universes that I love, that's so amazing, and I wish like I had a piano, is the musical scores that you added in, like issue 9 in the Superman, and then in some of the other ones where
that's
you
a
actually
real
had
score. I forgot what it's from. My letter is Willie Schubert, and his daughter Marika Schubert is a cellist. So I would always, email her and explain what I'm doing. And can you suggest, because I don't know anything about classical music. So she would suggest the piece. And, of course, all this stuff is public domain. So we would just get the score and just reprint it.
Well,
you sparked quite a lot of questions on Reddit because of that.
But I think the Luther scenes, it was this tune. I forgot the name of this thing, but they used it on House MD when this guy was getting eaten by rats. And I went, oh, that's appropriate here. But it's like this great scene where Luther is looking at this wall and wondering why the wall is still there. Why hasn't Superman crashed through this wall to beat me up after what I did to Lois? He's been waiting for Superman and then he realizes Lois never told Superman. And he's like, well played, Miss Lane, but I'm better at this than you. That was a lot of fun. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around here.
Oh no. That's our bread and butter, Chris. We're like, don't worry about it at all. Squirrels. No, it's just hands down fantastic.
One more crossover note, just real quick.
Go for it.
That scene in the pawn shop where Vampirella is meeting with somebody who may or may not be Nenny O'Neill. We replay that scene in Sonya Reborn. I believe it's issue 5, Sonya Reborn. Where for those of you who don't know, and that would mean most of you, because I don't know who's reading this book. I'm doing this Red Sonja series called Sonya Reborn that is aggravating everybody because it's based on a Robert E. Howard story called People of the Dark, where some guy from modern times walks through a cave, blacks out, and wakes up in Hyboria and discovers himself to be Conan the Barbarian. Except in our case, it's Red Sonja. So it's this woman from 2026 who falls down a rabbit hole and wakes up in Hyboria, and she knows nothing about Red Sonja. She knows nothing about how to be Red Sonja. So the whole series is about her becoming this character. But there are flashbacks during the scene to her, what her life was like before she ended up in Conan's world. And in one of them, she ends up going to see this person who may or may not be Denny O'Neil. And so she enters the pawn shop as Vampirella is leaving the pawn shop. So that scene actually repeats itself. I believe it's issue 5 of Sonja Reborn, the book that everybody hates. Yes,
I love when continuity like that happens throughout different series and stuff like that, different worlds. That's
Marvel and DC used to do this thing for Halloween, where they had this Halloween party in Vermont, and they did, and it was the same party, and it would show up in a Marvel book, and then it would show up in a DC book. So that was the one time where Captain America would be seen in a DC book. Of course, it would be some guy in a Captain America costume at a Halloween party.
Yeah.
But it was this gag that they did, like I would imagine, a couple of times. This is back in the 70s, though.
That's
back when things were still fun.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Remember those times?
Back in the day, when you go in the comic shop and you're just
yeah. I miss those days where you walked in the comic shop and you had all these long boxes with the Silver Age books, or the even older than Silver Age books.
Yep.
And you smelled that newsprint. You walked in, the whole place just reeked of newsprint. And you're like, I'm home.
Exactly.
Yeah. Every once in a while you come to those. They're now like those discreet hole in the wall, like very much like, oh, okay. And you're just thinking, well, I'm gonna go here, and then by the time I come back, it'll be gone.
Yeah.
We're doing the Superman Lost. It will be gone by the time we return. No business. I'm like, okay, cool. No guilt there. I don't know. Guys, did you have any other? I'm kind of good. Like,
Leo's
I asked
got
a lot.
a question about Dirty Wolf.
Okay, go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Did we bring
it? Good luck with that. I'm sure that was Ruben's idea. I barely remember Dirty Wolf, but go ahead.
No. I was just wondering if he's supposed to be. Oh, sorry, sharing the wrong one. Let me stop.
Yeah, I'm about to say, Leo.
Yeah, hold on.
Do.
Is he supposed to be a Lobo-ish character?
Leo, I just asked that, man.
Oh, you just asked. Okay.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure this is Ruben's idea. I don't particularly like Lobo. I was never like a big Lobo fan. I like Keith Giffen. I like J.M. DeMatteis. I love these guys. I just.
Oh my God.
I just never really got into Lobo. So I think the few times I've written Lobo, I think he showed up in a Justice League crossover. So I had to write him for a couple of pages, and I was like, what do I do with this character? This is different people feel different characters in different ways. Let's put it
Keith would have loved that you dislike Lobo, because Keith Giffen fucking hated Lobo.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We had him
made him. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Carrie, go. You tell the story this time.
No, yeah, I wasn't even there. I was just watching, and it was this clusterfuck of death as I watched these guys interviewing Keith Giffen. Because it was like one of the last interviews, if not the last interview that he ever gave. And it was like right when Blue Beetle was being released in the theaters. And they're like, so you see Blue Beetle? And he's just like, fuck no. I'm not going out there to see that. I got invited. I don't give a shit. I'm not getting paid for it. So why would I,
Yeah.
And then like Lobo was brought up, and he's like, I wrote Lobo to be like a pastiche, just to make fun of all of these fucking superheroes. And then all these people are like, oh, he's such a badass. And I was trying to point out how ridiculous all of these characters were. And then everybody grabs onto him. So all these people who come up to me are like, I love Lobo. He's like, fuck you. He was just like going off.
Yeah,
and a lot of anybody who's mentioned it to him, like I've seen other people in other interviews too, who were like, and then somebody told him that they liked Lobo. and then Keith exploded.
No. The thing that killed him was when he didn't do panels because he got tired of people asking for obscure details from books he did ages ago.
Oh, that's
Like,
yeah.
this thing in
Like
book
Dark
30.
Wolf.
Yeah. Like book 32 of the. He was like, I don't fucking remember. That was like 20 years ago. But
I keep getting beat up over Hobgoblin. I'm surprised you didn't bring that up. You know, like, wow, that was a long time. Let it go already.
No. We know. We listen. We go obscure. I mean, come on. Remember, I tried to we're gonna read something from your past. I'll read Indiana Jones, and
Indiana Jones,
I do not remember writing that.
I honestly don't remember. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, Chris, like whatever you want, man. You're listen, you're the top notch. You're the talent, man. Whatever you say goes. You say jump, we'll say okay. Just just let me get a chair.
I know we are running late on time, but I wanted to make sure. So you were very close with Larry Hama.
Yeah.
And
I still am.
Now you saw the birth of G.I. Joe when I
was in the room.
Yes.
There.
Care to
Did you cut the cord?
Well, I didn't know what he was
doing.
Did
he cut the cord?
I cut the cord. Yeah, I cut the cord. Yeah. I don't know. He'd come into work with. He'd have these sketches and stuff. That he was working on something. Back in those days, I think Joe Orlando was in charge of licensing and these special projects and things. And I think they had made some sort of deal with Hasbro, and they were, I don't remember exactly the origins of it or how Larry got the gig, but somehow Larry got the gig.
Go Larry!
To to negotiate this thing with Hasbro to negotiate this stuff. So he would come in with these sketches and things, and I'd look over his shoulder and go, well, "What's that?" Because we were not editing G.I. Joe. I didn't, G.I. Joe. No, we were editing Conan. We might have been working on Crazy Magazine at the time. I forgot how soon. I forgot the chronology of where G.I. Joe falls and all that, but yeah, and he introduced all these characters, and he's like, oh, this one is, I don't know the characters. I'm sorry. I know who Snake Eyes is, and I know who's the evil chick, the
Baroness,
and yeah, so he would bring all these things in or refine these things as the project went along. But yeah, no, I was in the room. I had nothing to do with it, but I was in the room. How's that?
Well, you're killing me because I thought the only person I care about is Joe. You mean I have to care about other characters? I just I thought I only care about is this GI named Joe. I got to care about Jar. You lied to me, man.
He's got a catalog. I mean,
he's got a catalog. What is he? JC Penny Joe? Like, what's going on, man? There's a cat.
He built out that whole world, and it's magnificent, and it's I don't think he or Marvel, for that matter, had any sense that this thing would have this kind of longevity, or that it would become as big as it did.
I have to say, I embarrassed myself quite badly in front of Larry Hama.
Really?
That's easy to do.
Again?
What did you do?
I went to a drinking draw with him.
So I did another podcast probably about 10 years ago, and we were covering a sci-fi movie that Larry worked on. Mm-hmm. And I went to Comic-Con where Larry was at a panel, and I got up to ask a question about the sci-fi movie, and it was the panel, I think it was like about G.I. Joe or something like that. And he was like, "Why are you asking about that here?"
No. He would have probably been more like, it'd be a smile like, "What are you asking about that here?"
Yeah, that sounds exactly like Larry Hama. I mean, listen,
and then he
Leo,
turns his head. That's one of these. Yeah.
Leo, that's not as bad. I mean, you embarrassed yourself worse in front of Chris Claremont. Let's be honest here.
What did you do in front of Chris? You tell your story. I'll tell my story.
No. He kept calling Chris Claremont Walt. He confused him
that's
with
so
Walt
funny.
Simonson.
Walt Simonson's like a foot taller than Chris Cross.
Right?
I know. It was a long weekend. We were there. We had a booth, and every time I ran into Chris, I called him Walt, and like we were covering a panel, and he just kept on giving me the stink eye throughout the whole panel.
Excuses.
Who, Chris or Walt?
Chris.
Why would he give you the skunk eye?
Because I kept on calling him Walt.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
No, and Chris, you have to understand. We were at our booth at Terrificon. I was like, I'm sure true. I made a big mistake. I'm like, what happened? Like, I'm thinking it's something like terrible because you can ask these guys. I'm the dramatic one. And I was like, guys, this happened. Like, what did you do, Ray? I'm like, okay, fired. But he says, and he tells me, and I'm like, you had one job.
Yeah.
You had one job. You press the button on the camera, you sit down, you record, you ask one question. You can't follow the most basic of instructions. You have like, why do you do this?
That's
why do you do it? Like,
it was bad because I kept on bumping into him throughout the weekend.
Yeah, and he remembered you. This is the thing I don't get. Like, what? Like, avoid.
Sad, Carrie, how'd you do that?
That was this year.
How did you Scott Hanna with Larry Hama? They're two.
Okay, because I had a teacher that was Mr. Hanna, and I'd had that panel with that I did.
Oh my god!
Now I've completely blanked out everything because
you're terrified.
Okay, I had the panel with Phil Hester, and he brought up Larry. And so I had Larry in the brain, and then you guys assigned me Scott Hanna.
Oh, there you go.
And I'd never met either of them.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'd been talking with Phil about Larry, and I just got Hanna and Hama confused. And so when I was like coming up with those questions, I sent Phil something, and I was like, so what can you tell me about working with Scott Hanna? And he's like, I never have. And I was like, I'm so confused.
Oh man!
And because they both help train people to, do storytelling through artwork better with like the silent issue kind of stuff or whatever. And I confused those two.
Yeah, Carrie, Larry Hama, Hawaiian shirt, Asian. Scott Hanna, art teacher, Caucasian.
Yeah, very different.
Half Caucasian.
Yeah,
Caucasian.
I know. I fuck up every now and then too.
Carrie, it's okay. Your fuck ups aren't as funny. Okay, but Chris, you had a story.
You had a Chris Claremont story.
I was going to mention that I was 17 years old when I met him. I was standing outside Shooter's office. So Roger Stern is out there, and some other people are out there, and there's this guy that I'm standing next to, and this guy is talking to Shooter, and Shooter says something. He mentions Chris. He says the word Chris or whatever, and I look over to Stern and I go, well, who is that? He goes, that's Chris Claremont. And I said, that's Chris Claremont. And I turned around and I threw my arms around him and gave him a big bear hug. And Claremont had this look on his face like, okay, what's happening? What's happening? Who is this black kid? What's going on here?
I need an adult.
I was a huge and still am a huge Chris Claremont fan. We became good friends. We're good friends to this day.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a bank with him once. My favorite story is that I was in a bank with him once, and the bank was incredibly crowded, and we're in this long line that's snaking back and forth, and Claremont is griping about, my God, we're going to be in here all day. And I said, well, Chris, just tell him who you are, because in those days he had this enormous ego, I think I used to talk about Chris Claremont's ego as a character, we had this assistant editors month, which was really insulting, but this was Jim Shooter's idea. We're gonna have assistant editors month where the assistants will edit the books, whatever. So we all had to write our own sort of letter columns or whatever. So I was going to do like a review of Caesar's commentaries on the Gallic Wars. Okay. So because it's Conan, so I'm doing this Caesar's commentary, and I'm expounding on that. And and actually what I did is I did a review of Jaws 3. which was like the worst movie ever. It was 3D.
3D, yeah. I remember
They had 2 camera angles in Jaws 3, behind the shark and behind the shark. You know, I mean, it was like this real terrible movie. You know, and I mentioned something about like you know moving through Marvel's office and how I had to gently move past Chris Claremont and then Chris Claremont's ego, who follows behind him like a wraith, you know, that kind of thing. But he was a good sport, and when I see him now, I hug him again. I love him.
Yeah, but he knows you now, so it's different.
Yes.
So you know it's different, and it's so funny you say that because I'm like, okay, Chris, now the fact that you use dolphins in Superman Lost makes a lot of sense because I remember that they were helping Dennis Quaid in the third Jaws with protecting the people of the aquarium.
Wow, you remember the plot line of that movie?
Listen,
wow.
I remember watching it and I was like, is this a joke? And I was like, I know Spielberg is not involved with this because I'm just watching it and I was like, 3 people die in this thing. This is not a Jaws. This is like, if someone didn't die, this would essentially be a Disney movie. And I just remember watching it. And then, you know, I told my dad, I was like, I'm watching this Jaws movie. Like, oh, which one? And I was like, this is before I ever saw the majestic train wreck that is the 4th Jaws. But I was watching this one.
Yeah. Oh, you don't know about Jaws 4?
No, I got
Fire Island.
I got to rent that.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine?
Michael. Okay, Leo, you go first, and then I'll piggyback on that.
So there's a famous quote by Michael Caine when somebody asked him about Jaws 4, and he says he's never seen the movie, but it paid for his house.
Wow.
The movie is a utter disaster. It starts off in Amity, and the shark has like a psychic connection with Brody's wife, and follows her to the Caribbean to like hunt her down.
Oh wow.
Oh my God. It is so
wow.
It is so horrible. But again, Michael Caine is the greatest MVP about it because people are like, I was like, oh yeah, I saw the movie, it sucked. I said, well, I saw the house that Jaws 4 helped buy for my mother, and that doesn't suck at all. And I'm like,
yeah.
This is why that man acted with Muppets, everybody. It's all about perspective.
All about the there. But I remember, but it surprises me that I don't know if this is universal. You know, I don't know who put the movie out, but it would surprise me that a studio would want to torpedo their own, you know, legacy. I mean, why not hold out for a better film? That was very bizarre to me.
Yeah, it was. I think it came out in the 90s. It was yeah.
Jaws 4. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But, Jaws 4.
But just to finish my story, my dad was the one who was like, "Oh yeah, you know that was in 3D," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?"
So the fourth one too.
The third one was in 3D.
The third one was in 3D. Yeah. Okay,
and I remember I was like, and at that time, I was catching up on all my horror movies, and I was like, you mean like Friday the 13th? Friday Part 4, like Part 3, when it was Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D, and I was I was like, I'm sorry, and I was like, this is what your generation considered passable in a theater, and he was like, don't judge, and I'm like, no, judgment aplenty.
It was like, you know, it was high tech at the time. I saw it in the theater, you know.
I enjoyed 3D back then.
Yeah, you guys probably still have.
It gave me a headache. 3D. You know.
But
I can't watch it now for some reason. The glasses don't work for me.
Yeah.
But Chris, we've always had this joke that one year we'll try to have Claremont on the show, and I think my joke is, all right, guys, so we're going to block out 3 hours for 2 questions.
Yep.
You know.
Wow, he's worse than me then. Okay.
You know,
he is an interview.
Yeah, I remember. I remember. What was it? One time, I think Jar, it was me and you, or it's like me and you, or I think it was me and Steve McMahon. We're standing in line to meet Chris, and he had no line. And I remember we were standing behind this Wilson Fisk cosplayer, and I was like, "Yeah, we got to give time. That's the Kingpin. Like he could crush us with his fist."
Yeah.
And I asked him, "I was like, would you?" He was like, "Yeah. I would love to. I just need to use the bathroom." And we were like, okay, cool. We came back. There's a line. I'm like, that's why you never give Claremont too much time, man. He's gonna find that filler, and he's gonna do a 4-part miniseries on it again. Like, you know, like every time I'm like, what gap in your 30-year saga can we write about now? And Chris like, well, hold my mineral water. I'm like, damn, he's good. Damn, he's good.
Hold my mineral water.
Well, I don't know what he drinks. I don't.
Yeah,
all
no,
I know
that's great
is,
though. I like the line. Yeah.
Yeah, I just, what was it? Because what was it, guys? It was the John. Because we're friends with John Suntress, who does a lot of the Terrificon panels.
Word balloon.
Yeah.
And Word Balloon guy, and they were talking about X-Men, or it was during Chris' 60th, and he has the nerve to ask him about Krakoa, and to this day, this still cracks me up. He was like, yeah, whatever happened to Krakoa? And Chris like, don't even get me started. He just goes off on this, and I'm just dying, because it's the same way that Keith Giffen, when we were like, so what about Lobo? I was like, don't even. Shut the fuck. And I've been cursed out by Keith Giffen, unrelated to anything I did. I just walked into my comic shop, and it was like, hey, Drew, go fuck yourself. And they were like, you got told to go fuck yourself by Keith Giffen. How do you feel? I was like, fine. Like, you know, like, it didn't dawn on me years later. My friends were like, you got told to. I was like, yeah, but I was like, I didn't realize it now. But now I'm like, I was like, that happened. And someone's like, cool, bro. And I'm like, you have no idea who I'm talking about, do you? I'm like, nope. I'm like, if I was Stan Lee, you'd care. You know, but it just, those little moments, like we tease Leo and Carrie, and I'm sure I've done my dumb shit at cons too. But it's just that's what makes cons great. You have these dumb little moments that later on you're just laughing with creators like you, and they're like, that's hilarious. I'm like, it wasn't at the time. It was not. I mean, listen, then we have great moments like Howard Chaykin singing to Carrie. I mean, that was
pretty smooth.
Didn't even know he could do that, but he just, and I'm like, record.
Why was he singing?
He just comes out. Well, Carrie got him a book. I mean, you know what, Carrie? I don't like telling your story in your room. You tell the story.
Oh, I gotta pull it up because it's gonna take me.
Because he got you a show tunes book. Carrie got him this songs of.
Hold on,
Carrie,
I'll get it.
Yeah, she basically got him like this lyric book of like famous songs of like early America, and she gave it to him at Terrificon, and the man was so surprised. I mean, you normally think Howard Chaykin, you think angry, grumpy. Just gonna tell you everything that you love is horrible. But he was so flabbergasted and impressed with her that he gave her a hug, and Carrie was like, oh, okay, thank you.
Wow, that's different. Yeah.
And later on, he was just raving about the gift. He was like, oh yeah, did you guys see this gift that she got me? Like, what the fuck did you ever get me? Like, she got me this. And then he just looks at her, sing, like he just starts singing.
Okay.
You got it?
What I got him was a signed copy of American Pop from Minstrel to Mojo on record 1893 to 1956 by Alan Lowe.
Wow.
So
yeah, you got a wow from Christopher Priest, Carrie.
No. That sounds fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got it for him, and I was like, could you open it? He opens it, he was looking at it, and I'm like, open it again. And it was like, what? I'm like, open the cover. And then he opened it, and it was autographed. So he was kind of like, I got a hug. Like the first time, I was terrified of him the first time I ever encountered him, because I was filming a panel and he came in and was like being Howard,
And
I was just like, oh God. But then I was like, I got to read more stuff and get to know kind of who he was and stuff through following, and so that I was like, well, I got to give him something really good, like, because I want to like present myself well to him. And then I was like, I got a Howard Chaykin hug. And then later he sang to me, like, where I was going to get these interviews, and everybody was breaking down, but like he sang to me because he likes to break into song randomly.
I've never heard Howard break into song.
He did it before some of the panels, and like Mitch was asking me, and he doesn't really do karaoke, but he does like the old American standards, and he does show tunes, and but that's like his thing, and he sang to us a couple of times over the weekend, but like Drew was talking. I went over to get a couple of things signed when we were going to do the interview that didn't end up happening. But but Drew got it on the phone.
It was one of
my
those
jaw
things.
is just on the floor.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and I remember because again, me and Carrie are Broadway fans, and I kept throwing songs out to her, and she was like the Chaikin whisper. She was like, "I don't think that's gonna work." So it was just I kept throwing out certain songs. I was like, "This could be good," and she was like, "Drew, do you know that thing where you have this idea, and about 83% of the time it's a great idea? This is the other percent where this is gonna this is the 27% that is literally saying no. Don't you think it's good? It's gonna be a disaster. Like, don't do that." And I was like,
studying him.
Yeah, I was like, okay, no fiddler, I got it. All right.
No, I pissed him off recently because we went to some.
Oh no.
We went to a restaurant. Where were we? I think it was New Orleans. We went to let's see what this was. What kind of restaurant? I think it was a Cajun restaurant, but I didn't know it was a Cajun restaurant. He just said, "We're all going out to eat." I said, "Okay." So they picked the place. I don't know, and we went out there and we got to this Cajun restaurant. And they've got like, jambalaya and stuff, and they got New Orleans food, but it's all like incredibly hot and takes your face off hot,
right,
and spicy, and I can't. I have a very weird digestive system. So I said, "Well, can you make the jambalaya? Can you make it mild instead of making it, spicy?" And they said, "No, we can't do that. Then it won't be jambalaya." I said, "Well, we'll just rename it then. Can we just not use
call it the priest?"
So they're just absolutely refusing to make me a mild dish. So I said, "Okay, well, tell you what, just bring me the spicy dish, but just give me a tall glass of milk." We don't have any milk. What do you mean you don't have any milk? You're a restaurant. How do you not have any milk? He said, "No, we don't have it." Are you telling me if I go back in that kitchen, there is not any milk? You're baking and cooking, and there's no milk at all in this building? And they're like, "No, there's no milk in the building." So Howard's now he's having a fit. He's like, I can't use the language he used, but
Oh no, absolutely not.
He expressed his disappointment with my manhood. Let's put it that way. But it was just like, I can't eat anything here, and then it was very loud, and I have kind of a bit of a hearing disability. So like I can hear you guys just fine, but if we were in a crowded restaurant, picking your voices out of 100 people yakking at the same time becomes a bit of a challenge. So Howard is sitting like, two heads away from me, and he's chatting away, and I can't hear a word the guy's saying, and I can't eat any of the food. So I said, "Well, you know what? This really isn't working. I'm going to head back to the hotel." So now I'm on his enemies list.
Oh, no.
He's like, "I'll never eat dinner with you again." I'm like, "Oh," so.
Wow.
Next time you're in New Orleans with him, take him to Brennan's. The man loves his creature comforts, and it is some of the best French food you can get. The creme brulee is excellent. At the end, I've had their trout and brown butter sauce, which is fabulous. And he gets to have his very fancy stuff, and you get to eat something that won't make you die.
Yeah, well, I think, in retrospect, had I known we were going to that kind of restaurant, well, see, no, I was going to say I would have brought milk with me, but no, I wouldn't have brought milk with me because it never occurred to me that an entire restaurant, how do you have a restaurant and you don't, are you serious? Don't you have to have eggs and butter and milk
make like a
in
white
the kitchen
Russian?
somewhere?
Huh? Do they have a bar?
Yeah.
How would you make a white Russian? You need milk. Right, Charles?
You know what's really weird here? Okay, so do you guys have Denny's restaurants?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peanut butter is seasonal at Denny's.
What does that mean?
I'm sorry. Whoa, time out. Seasonal?
Seasonal.
What does that even mean?
At one point in time, I figured it out. They every now and then they have a peanut butter banana shake that they make.
Ooh.
And they'll have peanut butter for that. But it's like
tasty,
a once a year item, like they only have it for a month. because we went in once, and like I've had it, it's really good. And then we went in once, and same place, I'd had the peanut butter shake or peanut butter banana shake, and then my mom was there, and she likes to have a nice little English muffin with peanut butter. They were like,
Wow.
"Oh, sorry, peanut butter is seasonal."
Wow.
Like you only
That's
have it when
weird.
you have the shakes. Yeah, and we're like, "You're a fucking breakfast restaurant, and you don't have peanut butter
Yeah.
normally." No.
Well, you live and you learn, you know.
Yes.
But
Yeah, I mean,
that was my latest Howard story. Yes.
Amazing.
that is a great Howard story.
Thank you. What a story indeed. We are coming up on time. We definitely went a little over, but it's all good.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Yeah, Chris, thank you so much, man. This is phenomenal.
Well,
Absolutely.
We know not to bring you jambalaya at a con.
No, bring us some milk.
Mild jambalaya, yes.
Mild.
Or just stop by and get a carton of milk.
There you go.
If I can just kill it, yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah.
Well, if you come to Terrificon, we might be able to go to Rhode Island and get you some coffee milk.
Oh, if we go to Rhode Island, we have to go pick up Don McGregor because Don and I have a favorite restaurant out there. Him and his wife.
Oh yeah.
Yo, that sounds great.
Yeah.
What part of Rhode Island?
Huh?
Where in Rhode Island is the restaurant?
Oh, you just hold a gun to my head, will you? I don't know anything about Rhode Island.
God damn, Leo.
I just get there. I call Don, and he tells me where to meet him. So
no,
yeah.
I'm just asking because I'm in Connecticut, and we're like right on the Rhode Island border. So.
Oh yeah, my recollection is he's right over the border from Connecticut somewhere. But honestly, it's just like I'd have to look it up and get back to you. But yeah, if I was in Rhode Island, it's a local restaurant. It's not a chain. It's somewhere near where he lives. It's moderately priced, but it's kind of upscale. But it won't break the bank. But the food is really good, and the atmosphere is great. It's not too loud. I can actually hear them, and it's all good. Yeah, God bless him, Mr. McGregor.
And speaking of hearing, I have the same thing. Like if I'm in if there's any like outside noise or any background noise, my hearing's shit.
Isn't that weird that when you start picking up a hearing disability, that your hearing is actually improving? Like I don't have a hard time hearing. In fact, loud noises just make me crazy, because my hearing is so sensitive. But yeah, in a mixed environment, yeah, it's a real stretch, for me to be able to hear people talking.
Totally. Yeah. So like Drew said, we are at time. One thing we definitely like to ask everybody, in your busy schedule of working, in your downtime, what do you like to do? Like, what do you dork out about? When you have like a spare hour or you have any unique hobbies? Do you catch all the Marvel and DC movies? What do you?
Please. Well, I mean, I do watch them. I'm as big a fan as you guys are. Well, maybe not quite as big a fan as you guys are, but no, in my downtime, I want to do something that has absolutely nothing to do with my job. I try not to let anybody locally even know what I do for a living, and I have a set of friends that I go cycling with, and it's possible by now my face is plastered all over YouTube, so by now they must be going, that guy looks an awful lot like this guy we ride bikes with, but I don't want to be talking about Spider-Man all the time. I want to just hang out with them like everybody else.
Like regular people.
But yeah, I used to be into music. Because my hearing is all jacked up now, it's harder for me to, I just realized I can't pick out the right timbres and things. So it's hard for me to get stuff dialed in. But if you go to my site, ChristopherPriest.com, and you click on the American Priest, not the British guy, the American Priest, there's a button there for music. And there's years and years of my old bad music demos are up there. But these days, I guess if I had to pick something, it'd be cycling. And I watch a lot of bicycle porn. It's like, how some people watch like automotive porn where they're staring at wow, look at that engine. That's so, So I'm like, wow, look at the new group set from Shimano. Oh my gosh, it's the DI2, it's the 105 DI2, and I'll watch like the GCN, the Global Cycling Network, a lot, and I just geek out on bikes. You know,
That's interesting.
bikes and buses. You know, I see a bus and I just get, oh, there's a lady in the room. I was gonna say something vulgar, but I see a bus and I get a little aroused. Buses. I used to drive buses. Okay, so I'm really into the equipment. Wow, that's the new Prevost. Wow, that's a V8 in there. You know, and like, wow, it's kind of terrible.
Interesting.
You know, I love buses. You know, buses and bicycles. So those are my two things.
Amazing. Indeed. All right. So thank you very much for sharing all that. And you know, yep, I have nothing to say. No lines. I'm all spent.
I can't wait to tell my wife I talked about bicycle porn with Christopher Priest. Be like, what?
Yeah.
Cyclists, people who are really into the sport, they'll know what I'm talking about. The shoes, the helmet, this, you know, it's just that all different levels of degrees of things. I have you know, I have a custom built bike. I got parts from it from all around the world. I got the frame from Japan. I got the group set from England. I flew all this stuff in during the pandemic because there was nothing on the shelf to build this bike with. You know, then I have like a custom road bike that has a motor in it that helps me up. Because I'm a fat old guy. It helps me get up the hill. You know, that kind of thing. You know, and we're very serious about our shoes and our helmet and what, you know, and how we do this and how we do that. It's an expensive hobby, and you know, every time we see somebody, you know, we get together and, you know, and we see like somebody's got a new bike, we all gather around and go, ooh, look at that, look at that chain set on there, wow, bicycle, you know. So, and if there's some like model, like some scantily clad girl in the picture, I'm like, could you
just want to see the gears, damn it.
Yeah. Can you get out of there? Like,
they got these wireless group sets, no wires, folks, no wires. Okay, you know, and they've got these, you know, it's unbelievable. You know, and in my bike, I have radar that can show me the cars behind me. You know, and the route shows up on my little monitor here, and I got the earbud in here. It's like, you know, left turn in 500 yards. You know, and this whole deal. It's a very cool. I got GoPros on the front and the back. So, you know, when you read about me being run over by some guy in a pickup truck, I've got footage of that.
Very nice.
Oh, man knows. Man knows.
I'm sorry. We're in the wind up now. Let's
we're the wind up. So we're gonna sign off. So Chris, when you
sign off, I'll keep talking.
No. We're gonna, so basically, as we're signing off, just what are the best ways that people can get in touch with you or just, you know, admire your work? And are you going to any conventions this year so far? So
I'm going to a bunch. I'm sorry, I should have been prepared for this question. I have to go in and pull up my Excel spreadsheet. You know, and actually, I don't like to tell people where I'm going, but
okay,
I'm around. I'm not on social media. I pride myself in never having been on social media. I have repaired whatever the broken problem was with the email link on the website. So you can go to ChristopherPriest.com, click on the American Christopher Priest, you know, and you hit the contact button, and there I will be.
Very
okay.
nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And there's a bunch of things coming out, you know, but I don't want to talk about stuff that's not announced yet, because the last time I did that, I got yelled at by a publisher, and I don't like that part.
No, nobody wants that.
Okay.
It's not nice.
How dare you mention that we're in business with you? I'm like,
how dare you?
Are you ashamed? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
it's a secret. Yeah, I didn't tell people, you know, I didn't give away the plot, you know, but anyway. So, but yeah, there's a bunch of stuff coming out. That's what we need to know right now.
It's awesome.
Sounds good. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. I was going to say this fine evening, but it's not Tuesday. This awesome Saturday. Definitely check out, you know, Chris's stuff. There's links in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're looking or watching or listening to us. Go to his website if you want to reach out to him. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But Carrie.
Hey everybody. If you want to get a hold of me, Carrie Sanders on Facebook has all of my little links to everything else that I'm involved in socially. You can get to my author page on there. You can read the stuff that I write if you feel like it. You can catch me on the Owlite Network as well when I'm not hanging out with these wonderful gents, and sometimes MJ on Tuesdays and now Saturdays off and on, and occasionally on a Wednesday. And we'll just see how many more people Drew just drills up for us. So, yeah, really excited for everything that's coming up, and we've had a great year so far. I hope you all are having a great year. Keep up with us. Like and subscribe, please. And yeah, do it. Do it now. Push the button. Push it.
It's me.
Push the button.
Well,
It's a
that's
meme.
it.
I don't
That's
know.
our show, ladies and gentlemen. Catch me on Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and something else, I'm sure. After that, just keep watching, liking, subscribing, sharing. And yeah, definitely keep watching, because Drew's got a list of creators for the next 3 months, 4 months that we've got to
of
get
May.
through. So, on to Drew.
On to me. Hello, I'm Drew, if you haven't already been paying attention. And thank you so much for joining us, everybody. If you need to get in touch with me, you can find me on Facebook, on Blue Sky, same name, Ghostbuster Man 1984. On Instagram, like these people said, we've got pretty much half of the year already booked. So if you're wondering who we have next, I might tell you, but I might also tell you to subscribe to our YouTube channel or other things just to keep in touch, because we're really fucking cool and we're doing a lot of really cool stuff. So wouldn't you want to be part of that? You know, no peer pressure, but be with the cool kids, man. Nerds taking over the world. Hey. Speaking of, one more thing. Speaking of that, we do have the awesome Marcelo Ferreira, who most recently did Predator versus Spider-Man and Marvel Kills the Predator Kills the Marvel Universe, among other things, next Tuesday, the 20th at 8 o'clock. So definitely tune in for that. And we still got one more guest to round out this month before we get to February. So stay tuned.
Yeah. And check out our website. We carry a lot of information there on upcoming guests and, our current interviews and everything. So we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.